Am I live or am I Memorex? Am I live or am I Memorex? Am I live or am I Memorex? Hi guys. Drums, man, drums, 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 and more drums, and drums, and more drums, and drums. Drums of passion, drums of blessings and kindness and goodness. Drums, and more drums. Drums, 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 more drums. African drums, salsa drums, Cuban drums, man, American drums. Who knows? Who cares? Drums, man. I put you some drum music. Sheila E. Yeah, baby. Okay. Enough. Chill, baby. Chill. Oh, that's me. I just gotta chill. I listen to the drum music and I want to play the congas or play the djembe or. Let's do it again. And then when somebody sees that and they see me doing like that, they're like, dude is like whacked. And they turn out the video and they go to a different something on YouTube or Facebook. They're just like, whoosh. I mean, what was that about, man? Dude is like crazy. I am crazy. I am crazy. I'm going to blow my brains out. Okay. Where were we? I'm sorry. I really getting off to a rough start today. Let me explain. Today is Thursday. It's June 10th. It's 2021. And I enjoy y'all. I really do. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you're going to do this, you really have to not give a shit if anybody shows up. You really do. Because your ego, in a sense, is cemented to the podcast. And as the podcast goes, so may go the ego. So if you don't want to face ruination and destruction and devastation, then what you should do, realistically, is divorce yourself from who shows up, if they show up, when they show up, the whole kit and caboodle, man. Just let it go, baby, you know. But to those who say, well, you do it for yourself. No, I've had those comments like, what do you care if anybody tunes in? You did it for yourself. No, that's silly. And if you're one of those people, you're silly. Okay. It's the same thing. I've talked about it before. I write a blog. If nobody reads it, damn, man. I mean, I'm disappointed, right? So anyways, let me redo my hair because when I blew my brains out, I think I messed up my hair. Okay. Moving right along. So let me tell you about events. Okay. So, God, don't you feel like playing the drum? Don't you wish you were all here, like in my backyard? Everybody had a drum and we were just like kicking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even pass around the weed if you want. I don't know. Who didn't show up? I'm going to get them. Yeah, right? Thank you, Mark. I sick Mark on your ass. Okay? And boy, is a South Side, man. Boom, stone to the bone, a D to the knee, a sex machine. You know what I mean? Watch him now while he does his thing. Yes, sir. All right. Be careful. I'm having a hard time focusing. I think my ADHD is acting up. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, or I don't know the initials. Maybe that's a sign of having it if you can't remember it because it's too many numbers, right? Welcome, Chris, in Indiana, South Bend, Indiana. Shout out to South Bend, Indiana, right? Like, I'm the Wolfman, baby. Let me give a shout out to South Bend, Indiana. Um, uh, so I started to tell you I'm having a hard time focusing, right? And I'm gonna blame it on the drums for the moment. I'm gonna blame it on drums. I'll come up with a better excuse a little bit later. But let me explain to you. I was tired, and then I was sitting here, and some of you have already figured out that I belong to some Facebook groups that highlight drums. One is called conga solos, and so if somebody posts in there, I get a notification. I can look at it, or it just shows up on my feed. And the other one is something like Samba Australia. I don't even remember. And that's got a lot of percussion, almost all percussion. So I listen to these things, and if I hear a good one, I'm like, I get jacked up, right? Temporarily. There was a good one today I posted. ADHD, thank you. Um, so the congas, there was a woman. It was a 1 minute thing, and most of these conga solos in the conga solo Facebook, they're short. Most of them are short. It was a woman playing, and I was sitting there watching, and I was thinking, like, I've always talked about sexy women, and I post things about women with guns and stuff periodically, and I just make the comment, partly just, oh, a woman with a gun, that's sexy. Like there's a picture of a group of Israeli soldiers, and they all got submachine guns and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, what's sexier than that, right? And then I'll have a really nice video of a woman playing drum, and I'm like, oh man, that's as sexy as a woman with a gun. Now, here's the thing, like lately, it's like, I don't know if a woman with a gun anymore is that sexy because I'm getting worn out about the gun stuff. Because man, every day I don't even have to try. I don't know if it's my news feed, my Yahoo news feed, that I see all this stuff about gun violence. Maybe y'all don't see it, as much of it. Maybe you do, maybe you want, but and the thing is, I'm about to say something. Please pay attention. Camera 2, right? I said I was going to abstain from profanity as best I can, and I am. But excuse me one moment. I know a fuck lot about guns, gun laws, and gun handling. Yeah. So when I shift from defending gun ownership to attacking gun ownership, something is up. You can dismiss me because I'm a liberal, but that's, I could short sheet your bed too. You might think you're comfortable. Anyways, my point is, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your professorship is in. I don't care what, I don't care what credentials you have. When it comes to gun ownership, regulations, limitations, restrictions, training, whatever it is, I may be as qualified as any freaking buddy in this country. I mean, I suppose there's somebody who's, a lawyer, a former gun range owner, a gun carrier, who trained a multitude of people in firearms. There may be. I don't know. I doubt it. So, anyways, now I spend a lot less time with anything to do with guns except for the carnage, but I'm doing a lot with the percussion. These drums behind me, I think I probably shared with you in October, I went to Chicago to visit everybody, and I couldn't visit anybody because of the pandemic. So I spent a lot of time at Ricky's house, my little brother Ricky. And Ricky had these in one of the rooms, and I put them right outside my bedroom in front of a TV that I used to watch. And so what would happen is I'd be walking by, I'd stop and play. I hadn't played congas in a number of years because I sold my congas some time ago. But I had a djembe. So I know how to play. I've been playing congas off and on since I was 15, 16 years old. So I asked Ricky, I had things that Ricky wanted. Ricky had something I wanted. I came back with congas. I left something there for him. And I had the congas in my living room. But as in days past, I'm not in my living room. And so I didn't play the congas. I have a meditation area. I ignore that too. I don't do anything outside the bedroom. I don't have what. So I live in the bedroom. Weird, I know. So what happens is I have my bed and my big screen TV over there. Then you move over, I've got this fairly sizable desk, and I've got my files and everything. This is where I do my work, whether it's legal work or whatever it is, I do it here. And then on this side of me, that's my outside porch, and I had it built. I had this built for, I had it enclosed. There was a concrete pad, and last year we built a screen porch, no windows, just screen, no glass, and that's where the cats like to sit and sun themselves. And in nice weather, I like to sit and sun myself. G. Gordon Liddy don't know as much as I do. He may know more about guns because I know nothing about rifles, by the way. Let me clarify. I know all about gun laws. And I know about handguns. I don't know a lot about the specifications, like how many twists in a barrel. A real gun aficionado knows that this rifle has 7 twists or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. My expertise was in gun handling. So what that means is I practiced with masters of firearm handling, and I learned a long time ago, many years ago, how to use a firearm, a handgun, how to shoot, how to draw, how to move and shoot, whatever, daytime, nighttime, how to use my sights in all types of situations, how to use the firearm in all types of situations, how not to kill somebody accidentally, all these things. I studied them. I went to Thunder Ranch. I went to Gunsight. I went to Trident. And there were probably some others that I just don't remember. Doesn't matter. These were all national names. And I did some more than once. Okay? So I know my shit. And I know the law. I know the law locally, and I know the law in most regards pretty much nationally. I don't know that anybody's going to know. So G. Gordon Liddy, kiss my ass, baby, you know? So I've shifted my attention more to drums as the years go by and less to guns. In fact, most of you have probably figured out by now, I've begun to purge myself of any gun except the one I carry and the one that guards my house. That's really three or four handguns. 2 that guard the house. They're under lock. They're in lock boxes that are digitally accessed very quickly. Those 2 guns can be accessed very quickly. And then there's the 2 that I take turns carrying. So I only need 4. I know that seems about 3 more than most, but different guns have different applications, do different things under different environments. All right. So I have those, but I had a lot more because I used to own a gun range. Why wouldn't I buy guns? I own the gun range, man. I got some smoking deals. I'm not interested. Just like my knife collection that I started when I owned the gun range. I have thousands of dollars worth of custom knives. Most that would be designated as a tactical knife. A tactical knife, like a tactical gun, is a knife like a gun that is meant for combat, self-defense, whatever. They're not, I don't have Whitland knives. I don't have Whitland guns. I don't have hunting guns. My guns that I own, all the guns that I own, were designed for tactical situations, self-defense, okay? They were designed to achieve some kind of practical purpose when one is threatened with deadly force. That's what my gun collection, rifles and handguns, was designed from the beginning. Shotguns, whatever, right? Okay. And so that is my environment. And I come to that environment very honestly. I have been the victim of burglaries, been a victim of attempted robberies. I have been witness to or a participant in well over 100 violent incidents. Now, I say witness to or participant in. Growing up on the South Side, like many of you, I saw a boatload of violence. I saw gang fights. I saw people beating or robbing other people. I was attacked on numerous occasions, whatever. That was as a kid. Then I grew up and I became a social worker, and I worked in the streets night after night with gangs, saw dozens of violent incidents, broke up dozens of violent incidents, changed jobs, kind of the same thing. And then, and I studied violence as the owner of the gun range, teaching firearms, because I taught firearms to cops, to security guards, to citizens. I studied shootings. I studied videos of shootings so that I could learn and I could teach. I'm an excellent teacher of firearms. I'm an excellent student of violence. I watch, I learn. I like other good teachers and other good students. I can analyze a video of a violent situation where somebody gets hurt because of some lapse of judgment or attention, whatever you say. And so at one time, I could draw a firearm, acquire the target, squeeze the trigger, and the bullet would go where I intended it. That meant that I was better than most police officers, most anybody who's had a gun. I drew my firearm in training, taking training and training others hundreds, probably thousands of times. Muscle memory. I had that. I probably don't have that anymore. First off, I don't use a holster anymore. I use a pack. So my skills with drawing are still there, but they're not honed like they used to be. And I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested. I have other things that interest me more. I'd rather be, how shall we say, I'd rather be on my bicycle. I would rather be in my house. I'd rather be at an AA meeting, which is pretty nonviolent, or teaching Buddhism. So I have transformed my environment so there's not much threat of violence, but I'm always caring. I don't know how to explain it, but I almost never leave the house except to go to the Buddhist temple unarmed. I just don't do it. But I'm almost reaching the point of being opposed to firearm ownership. Forget caring. I'm almost opposed to the ownership because so many people are yutzes. Okay? They just refuse to, and this is people who know better. Okay? There are lots of people know almost nothing about the firearm they own, about firearm safety, about the use of the firearm, storage of a firearm. They don't know. They're concerned and they bought a gun. They went to a pawn shop, whatever, and they acquired a handgun or a shotgun. I had people explaining to me constantly, especially when I was in the business, why a pump action shotgun was the greatest defensive weapon in your home. How many times can you say bullshit to somebody or somebody's? Okay, because I got tired of explaining a pump action shotgun is a really shitty home defensive weapon unless you live alone. I would explain to people, if you have kids, that needs to be under lock and key. Anything that's under lock and key, except for the type of locks that I have, digital, is absolutely useless. Won't you in difficult situations. Somebody broke in the home. So a shotgun, it has value if it's loaded and ready to go and accessible, right? Acquisition and presentation. And people would say, yeah, well, when they hear ka-chunk, anybody comes in my house is going to be afraid. And I think I said to you people one day, if you were in a house and you heard ka-chunk, that is the shotgun being manipulated. Here's what you just heard. You either heard somebody who had a fully loaded shotgun just ejected a round before they entered into a gunfight, not very smart, or somebody who had an unloaded shotgun by their bedside or wherever. Also not good if you're anticipating a gunfight. So the reason I emphasized handguns over all these other modalities is because a handgun could be safe and immediately accessible, loaded and ready to go. So that was my approach. That's been my approach. I had kids in my house for years, my 2 daughters. Everything was under lock and key when I wasn't holding it in my hand or on my hip. So when I came in, I had one particular case that gun got in. All the other guns were on lock key. I went out of town. My daughters, when they were little, 4 and 5, they tried to get into my, I have a storage safe that they never penetrated. They tried to get into my digital safe, right? And if you tamper with my digital safe and you punch enough keys, it will trigger a small alarm. It's not that big a deal. But here's the advantage. I came home from vacation, and when I went to my digital safe and touched it, there was a tamper indicator that was forever until you cleared it. So as soon as I touched the key, it emits a sound that says, I've been previously tampered with. Busted my daughters, right? Their mom had been here with them. She didn't see them messing with it. All right, moving right along. So guns, drums. Guns, drums. I derive more satisfaction today. I went by my old range, DFW gun range. It's under new ownership. I went in. I know the general manager. She's or I don't know what she is. She's the head trainer. She worked for me. She's like, do you want to shoot today while you're here? I said, no, I'll come back another time and shoot, and I will. I'm not done shooting. It just doesn't hold the cachet that it used to hold. So, but all the difficulties that I personally have encountered, in large measure because I put myself out there, okay, has reinforced for me, I need to be armed. I need to be armed. I need to be armed. But gun versus drum win, right? Okay, you got my meaning. So I chose some good drum music today for your entertainment and edification. And I hope you'll listen. The first one is an African performance. I really dig a good African drum performance. I really dig that. Sheila E played with Prince a lot, and I put one of her Prince performances. She was raised with drums, timbales, and congas and trap set. She's good. She's good, and she's worth watching. And I may have had something else. Oh yeah, there was another one in there. I don't know who he is, but I thought he was pretty good, and it's short. All right, so that's what's going on. So let me tell you what's been happening. So some of you tuned in yesterday when I was at the temple. I did an abbreviated version of this podcast yesterday from the Watt, Dallas. Watt is the word for temple. I don't really know. I guess it's Thai. Wat means temple. So every temple in Thailand and the United States that's Thai related has the word Wat in its name. It just means temple. So I am Wat Dallas, pretty simple. They're not all that simple, is the temple that I'm associated with. And so yesterday I went there early, about 5:45, so that when 6 o'clock arrived, I could podcast from my phone. And what I decided to do, the monks were chanting, and those of you that were here, you now know that I kind of videoed, not kind of, I did. I videoed the monks chanting, and then I videoed the interior of the temple, and then I walked outside, and I videoed the garden and the exterior of the temple. And then after I got off with you, I went inside the temple. When the monks were done, I greeted them. When you see a monk, the traditional manner is to simply put your hands before your heart, bow your head slightly, like that, and acknowledge them, right? Okay, so I did that. I hadn't seen some of them for over a year. They smiled. They don't speak much English, so they don't talk to me. They're just, hi, they act absolutely pleasant. And then I sat there, and then slightly before 7, people began to show up until there were 31 people there when we started at 7:05. There were 31, counting myself. And it was just wonderful. I mean, it's just the vibe was big. People came to meditate in a Buddhist temple. What kind of vibe do you think is going to be there? For those of you that live locally and listen to this, if you don't come to the temple, you're just missing out, right? I mean, the energy is beautiful. Mask was optional. I asked the first 4 guys that arrived, and they said they had all been vaccinated. There were some people that had not been vaccinated, and I got them, one of them, to identify themselves. I explained to people that this person was in their midst. If they wanted to move away or move her or whatever, everybody was cool, man. It was just a good energy. And then we meditated. We do 20 minutes of sitting, 10 minutes of walking, and 20 minutes of sitting. And then I did this blessing. So the monks in Arizona provide me with these, they're just a little string bracelet. They're nothing. They're simple. But the belief is they're infused with protective energy so that it goes on a person and it will provide some kind of protection. I don't actually believe anything like that, but I don't disbelieve anything, right? It's like God. There may be a God. I'm not going around saying there ain't no God. Just because I don't believe in God in my life doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And just because I don't necessarily believe there's energy, that there isn't. Okay. And I wear one with some regularity, and whenever a monk offers, I absolutely take it. I'm hedging my bet. I'm going with, hey, you know what? This may be helpful. So I had offered in advance. I said, well, if anybody shows up, because this is our debut after being gone for a year, tonight, you will be, if you wish, I will provide you with the blessings and the bracelet. And I think almost everybody, there were 33 people by the end. 2 people came late, a woman and her daughter. They couldn't get there earlier, and she had told me that in advance. So I just had a line, and it looked like everybody, and there's only me. So it took time, and I have to recite a blessing with each one, with each application. And people made a donation, which will now go towards monks in Thailand to help them. So that's what I did after I saw you yesterday. And I really had a good feeling, a good energy when I left there. I hadn't meditated. I haven't even been in a group of 30 people except to do memorials or funerals. Since the pandemic began, I have not been in a large group since sometime in March, right? Okay. So this was, I went to a party, what was it? Almost 2 weeks ago, I told you about, on a Sunday evening, Memorial Day, I think, Memorial Day weekend. And that was about, I don't know, 15 people. That had been my first social occasion outside of I'm thinking. Pretty much everything. I went out with some people to the Symphony Hall, but at most there were four of us for the largest grouping. I went to a couple of dinners, maximum number of people, four. So I just hadn't been around a lot of people, and that party was kind of like my coming out party. And then last night at the temple with all those people, as I said on my podcast, it was anxiety inducing. I didn't know who would show up. We used to always have 30, 40 people. I didn't know. It's been over a year. Well, now I know. 33 people showed up. Most of them were enthusiastic, and I met people I hadn't seen over a year that I enjoy seeing. I got to see people I never met before. It was groovy, man. It was totally, totally groovy. Here's the thing. How can you possibly know Ken Goldberg? How can any of you possibly know me? When people purport to know me, my typical reaction is, yeah, bullshit. Pure, utter bullshit. You may know something about me, but most of you don't know me. And it's not because you're incapable of knowing. It's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on humanity. We don't know what's going on. How do you when people look at me and go, I don't understand, you carry a gun and you're a Buddhist chaplain. And they look at me like I'm from outer space or like I'm doing something wrong. I get it. But the fact is, you don't know how I got here. You don't know how I get to the next stop. I don't know how any of you got here. I've known some of you for over 50 years. I have no clue. Of the people who appear on my podcast through Facebook, the one I've known absolutely the longest who appears on the screen is Mark McDougall, because we met preteen when I was a camper and he was a camper. I have no idea how he came to be living in Austin. I have no idea when he made a decision to make aquatics his life. And he could explain it to me and it would, give me some insight, but I'm never going to know this person quite enough, right? And sure as shit, you don't know me. I don't know why I carry a gun and I'm a Buddhist. I don't know. I know that I am a summation of my experiences, my education, my inclinations. All of you can, to some extent, predict possible behavior on my part, because you're going to go, yeah, I've seen Ken in those situations. This is how he behaves. I've seen Ken in court. This is what he can do. I've seen Ken ride a bicycle. This is what he's, but think of all the things you don't know about me and I don't know about you, right? And that's just fine. But the thing is, when I recognize the limitations of humans to really know each other, what I must rely upon is the interconnectedness that I am aware of that's going on at this other level that I spoke of when I talked about knowing ourselves. When I meditate, I recognize that there is some sort of interconnectedness, right? I am connected to Mark and Ann in Austin, and to Kathy in Florida, and Rachel in Arizona, and Lisa in Dallas, and on and on and on. You dig? I'm even connected to Joan, who I've never met in person and lives in Grand Prairie, Texas. Not that far, but we've never met in person. That's not uncommon, right? Because of Facebook, it's not uncommon because of the internet. So there's a connection. That connection comes about through a variety of mechanisms and influences. But at the end of the day, if I knew how you would react to anything I might do or say, I'd probably be prescient rather than smart. In other words, I would probably have some ability to envision future events rather than being smart enough to go, well, if I say this to Kathy, she will do this. Okay. I mean, I can do some simple stuff. I can say to Kathy, when we're in Chicago, would you be willing to have dinner? Kathy's going to say, yeah. I know that. I mean, she would be more than happy to have dinner with me as I would be to have dinner with her, right? So I can make some predictions based upon my kinship with you, my fellowship with you. Um, Listen, a good example for me is I've been in AA, 12-step recovery, first for 12 to 14 years, and now for 13 and a half years. That's 25 years plus. I usually don't know who's going to go back and start drinking again. I just don't know. I've had two very close friends in recovery, well over 10, maybe over 20 years, both of them, who shot themselves. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't completely stunned, but if you'd have said to me, what do you think John's going to do? God, they're both named John Froyland and Johnny Baumgartner. Either one of them, I had no inclination. They had been sober a long time. They were both very intelligent guys. I don't know what events are doing to you. I don't know what the filter that you have in your head. And I may be a little bit more convoluted, not complicated. You're all complicated as much as I am, but convoluted. But that was because I undertook a whole lot of things in my lifetime that were a grasping of the convoluted, really. They were out of sync. I didn't see them coming. When I did them, I rationalized doing certain things that were, in some cases, dangerous, some cases, stupid, some cases, bad investments, for instance. Dating certain women that wasn't particularly smart on my part. There were lots and lots of decisions that, if you sat back and based on my intellect and my background, you would have said, yeah, why would he do that? And then when I did it, you may have said, wow, Ken, why does he do those kinds of things to himself? And I look at when Kathy used to smoke cigarettes. Kathy, who's on here now, I always thought to myself, Kathy, don't you know how bad cigarette smoking is? I didn't mess with her very much about it. Kathy took up smoking. When she took up smoking, she would keep smoking. Me, I went to great lengths to give up smoking. I got friends that are still running. And if they asked me, I would say, at your age, you might want to stop running because your hips and your knees are going to suffer. And eventually you may find you should get on a bicycle, right? I am just saying that my input about what is healthy for you is of no consequence, and vice versa. Your suppositions about what might be healthy for me and what decisions I might make and why I might make those decisions it's just conjecture. It's all conjecture. This thing that's motivated to show up here, and I call myself a thing that shows up here to do a podcast every night. I said at the very beginning, I have to be careful. I have an ego just as everybody does. When I show up the podcast, I have to be prepared that nobody else showed up. Now, thank you that you did. But if you didn't, what do I do? Do I stop podcasting? Is that the last night of podcast? Maybe. Do I blow my brains out? I don't know. How much will I invest my ego in that? Well, I have enough sense today. I have enough education and experience today to know that this participation in this community, however long it lasts, is still fleeting. It's going to evaporate one day. I'm not going to show up, or you're not going to show up. Somebody's not going to show up, and it'll be over. And then, a year from now, maybe I'll be doing something once a week. Or maybe you'll turn up one day and I won't even be on Facebook. You'll go, what happened to Ken, right? How many times have you all woken? Is there such a word? How many times have any of you woke up only to find that the world had changed seismically for you personally with the passing of somebody you didn't expect, an overdose, an auto accident, something where a relationship that you had relied upon could count on. It was a caring relationship with somebody. It could be a boss, a coworker, a lover, whatever it is. And then, one day, and I'm talking about more unexpected. I'm not talking about people who die of a protracted illness or something like that. I'm just saying seismic shift in the universe can take place in a second. Okay. This guy texted me today, Trammell, friend of mine, texted me today, said that he was on the highway here, local highway, and came across a fatality on the highway. He said it was pretty clear that they were taking away the deceased and that he probably missed the accident itself by 10 to 20 minutes. Okay. Whoever that person is that was being taken away, deceased, that person had plans for tonight. Yeah. People, there were other persons knew that person likely who had some anticipation that they could interact with that person later on tonight. Maybe they were going to meet him for dinner. Maybe they're at home and they're a spouse. Maybe they're a child and they're in school. Maybe they're at Yale and they were planning on calling this person tonight and telling them the grades came out and it's looking good and they're going to spend the summer over in India learning to practice yoga. I don't know. That's how much I cannot invest in the next moment. I can only invest in this moment. And when this moment isn't feeling like it's the deal, then I'll go on to the next thing. You'll go on to the next thing. Some have already. So it's all temporal. It's all impermanent. And that's okay. Let me not leave the wrong taste in your mouth. I so fucking enjoy seeing you people night after night. I so freaking enjoyed, beyond my expectation, going to the temple yesterday, the Buddhist temple, sitting my ass down, waiting in anxiety and yet eager anticipation to see who would show up. And as people walked in that I hadn't seen, it was like I remember this one guy, Paul. I'm like, Paul, how are you? I didn't expect you. Lewis. I mean, there were people that I see on Facebook. I know a little bit about them, but I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them in real time, right? So to have seen them in person in that setting was heartwarming. So to see you here night after night, but at the end of the day, man, you're going your way, I'm going my way, right? It just ain't tonight. All right. Chris is reminding me it's time to do the practice of loving kindness because we always end a podcast with that, right? We always end a podcast with sending out goodwill. So if you're new to this podcast and you haven't checked in, I don't know you're there, you're hiding, you're not commenting, that's fine. Pay attention. Here's what we do at the end of every podcast every night. You got a mouse in your pocket? I ask that you bring your hands before your heart as if in prayer and to bow your head and to close your eyes and to take a deep breath. No harm will come to you in this moment. And then I say, let us think to ourselves, may I be happy and healthy, free from all harm, free from anger, anxiety, and fear. May this practice bring me to a place of greater peace and comfort in my life. May my mother and father, deceased though they may be, all my living family and all my friends be happy, healthy, free from all harm. May they too find a path that guides them to a place of greater peace and comfort in their lives. And to those persons I find difficult, persons who I resent or harbor any ill will towards, I'm a master of justification, of some sort of hostility. But I let it go in this moment. And to those persons, I think, may they be happy, healthy, free from harm, and enjoying their lives even as I speak. Peace, comfort, and joy. And then finally, to all living beings of whatever sort, human and non-human, throughout the universe, may they be the recipient of our collective metta, goodwill, compassion. May all living beings be happy, healthy, free from harm, living their lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. I thought you might be out there, Joan. Well, thank you, Kathy. So my watch keeps vibrating. This is tied to my phone. It's vibrating on its own. You know why? I told you. Because the way I move my hands around, it keeps telling me, good jobs. Keep up the workout. I mean, if my watch can only see me sitting here, I haven't gotten up. I'm just sitting here waving my arms around. All right. Thank you, Becky, Chris, Mark, and Ann, and Joan, and Rachel, and Kathy, and Lisa, if she stuck around to the end, and anybody else who was hiding in the bushes and didn't make a comment. Thank you, Mark. Mark just said hard to moment. Here's something I try to always remember to tell people starting out. There is not a more simple command that I can think of than to tell a human being to bring their full awareness to the breath. It's the simplest of commands. You're going to breathe, whether you mean to or not, right? And yet, the difficulty, that's off the freaking charts. That's why most people don't meditate. It is so hard to stay in the present moment. But it's a simple admonition. Stay here, stay present, stay in the now. But my now is I'm going to leave so you can get on with your evening, eat your dinner, watch some TV, read a book. Let's start over again tomorrow at 6 p.m. if you're willing. Namaste.